The commute is always wonderful. Good morning, people. It's
Morning,
Monday.
friends.
How y'all doing? With yours truly, trying to shine some sunshine on your beautiful hearts. I guess I should turn the phone so I can see what people say. I always forget to look someplace else
I
because it's so.
love the screenshot that it takes. It's still better than Facebook's.
What this one?
All the time. StreamYard's
Oh,
screenshots
yeah,
are always better than Facebook's.
yeah. They're on their game. You
Yeah.
have to give them their props. They're on their A game. Let's see. What am I looking for? Where is Facebook? Close all and open up Facebook. There's Facebook? Ah, go to my page, and there we be. Okay, turn this down. Is anybody out there? Oh, somebody's out there watching. We have one person. I don't know. Mr. Johnson. This is a deep brother, Mr. Johnson. I asked you to give me a call, man. We need to chop it up. Uh, this brother is an inspiration to me. Uh, he's a young man that I met in one of the programs I work in. The dude is just like deep, and I keep on watching him like expand and grow. And I'm impressed by this brother. I'm
I
glad
love
you're here
it.
this morning, man. Hope you can stay for a little bit. We're gonna talk about this. So let me give you background. This is my matching sister, and whenever I'm going through some shit, y'all. This is one of my therapists. She ain't a therapist, regular therapist, but we conversate, and we were having these conversations. I believe the conversations should be shared, and
Yeah.
how can conversations be a contribution to people? Because in conversation, you don't have to get it right. You just conversating. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this sister can help you explore things that you're. Well, I'm on this dark side shit right now, and I know one of my sisters told me, "Well, it's no good or dark." Or I'm saying it is a dark side for me. Okay, and it's not a negative. It's the unknown. It's the black hole of my existence. Everything's in there.
I was gonna say I don't know if you want to call it that because
It's a black
I feel
hole.
like it could get darker.
Yeah, it could get dark, but it can also be like but there's light that can't escape in the dark hole.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you
But
if
there's miracles and magic in the dark.
yeah, and that's the piece about it. That's what I want to look at. I mean, so this morning we're gonna get to we gonna talk about nurturing. Well, hopefully get to nurturing and versus what you call it.
Rescuing. I mean, it's all the same topic.
Yeah,
It's all really perspective.
yeah,
So, we're looking at this darkness
yeah,
and it usually hurts.
yeah,
um, and the question is like, are you looking at it as you're a seed that's been planted? Or are you looking at it as you've been buried alive? You're
right,
in the ground no matter what.
yeah. And check this out. On my ride over, what really triggered me, y'all, to listen a little bit Jay Z this morning was my sister Trina Darton Ford. She sent me this thing on Instagram, and Jay Z was on the picture. So this me and this Jay Z thing. Maybe one day I'll meet that motherfucker. Maybe you want to meet me. My son told me to always flip it around. Everything's opposite what it appears to be, but no significance at all with that at all. Seriously, but in this statement he broke it down like a diamond is grown in pressure. Olive oil it comes in existence from pressure. A seed is placed in the ground with pressure and darkness, but in the process of all of that, something great is going to be exposed. And I
Yeah.
was like, that hit me, that hit me like damn. I sent her immediately this morning. And like you asked me this while I was up this morning, because no longer do I fight when I'm up or I'm down. I just know that's time to be where I'm at. And this
Yeah.
morning, I was sitting down on the couch and I was getting there. I was like, taking care of myself is being okay with myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times people don't take that time. Like if I'm at the right place where I'm supposed to be all the time. Like Sister Sarah said, no fights. I'm not fighting against shit no more, y'all. And the,
Yeah.
and the, and when you get in that space, everything's all right. I want to sing a song, but I don't know. I don't want to run away from me singing. But it's
You're
a song
so
called
funny.
"Everything's Gonna Be All Right." I can't remember the
Yeah.
title. Maybe Mr. Johnson remember. It's a song like that. But what if you were okay with where you are?
What up?
What would you create? I mean, because I woke up this morning, and some of y'all know my wife is going through some stuff, and so uh, my sleep was I was awakened, and I was like, "Fuck!" I woke up with this energy, like, "Fuck!" Then all of a sudden, I was like, "Nah, y'all, I got tools. I'm using my motherfucking tools to get up out of this hole." You know, uh, it's not a hole of death; it's a hole of possibilities. And so what I have to do is start running my tools, because what happens is, I'm gonna give y'all, this is me. This is John Ashford. This is John motherfucker Ashford. When I go to sleep, y'all, I reach out to millions of people energetically. And I know people are like, what? What? I'm exposing myself a little bit here, okay? And I perceive all they shit. And so what I'm working on now, when I'm exposed to them, can I pick up their pleasure too?
Mm,
Because as my group says, joy and pain, like sunshine and rain, everything
yeah.
has that exposure of both sides. Can I find that? And the issue with it is, if I can tap into people's energy, what can I do as a contribution energy? And that, I'm just not talking about me. So when you wake up in the morning, you think you're depressed, it's Monday morning. What if it's a possibility to connect at everybody? And what if you could just smile at everybody one time? I mean, that sincere smile that would give people enlightenment, that they could actually grow. You know what I'm saying? What would that be like? That if every Monday morning, every city, everybody woke up and they just was like, wow, to everybody, even that
Yeah.
motherfucker that you want to chop off their head. I know I don't supposed to say that, but I got to keep it real. Even that person, uh,
Yeah.
there's a
That is really a beautiful thing. And that is really an interesting place to get to.
yes,
Um, I have prayer partners. I adore them immensely.
uh-huh,
And a couple of weeks ago, I reached out and said, "Can we pray for my ex-husband?"
yes,
Like it's a lot of fun for me to make him wrong and to like villainize him and demonize him and like pick on him. I've had 25 years worth of practice, but um, he is trying. And I asked them to contribute energetically to his efforts so that they can multiply.
hmm,
Because he has way too many children to be a hot ass mess. And three of them are mine. So it's not even necessarily about him, but it's about like not holding that like tightness in my system for
hmm,
him and about him. But it's also like what a gift these kiddos get to have if they get to have a dad because he gets his shit together.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's the dopeness of all of this shit. If
Yeah.
we uh I'm an old school head of music, and uh and I think about like all the songs from the '70s, because I was a child of the '70s, and Earth, Wind, and Fire had a song called "Shining Star." Shining star,
Mm-hmm.
for you to see what your life could truly be. We are the shining stars that we've been waiting for, and the darkness can dissipate when light shows up. So
Mm.
I'm exploring this darkness piece, y'all, because I realized everything comes from darkness. Check this out. It's a band by the name of Midnight that says something a little bit like this: your day starts with what? Darkness. Your day ends with what? Darkness.
Darkness.
The bottom of the ocean, darkness. The mystery. In space, darkness. Every human being comes from darkness of a womb to light.
Mm-hmm.
You can't evade. You can't get away from darkness, y'all. You can't.
You can try. It'll be fun.
Yeah, you try. but it's and my Darth Vader is futile. My Darth Vader voice is futile. If you do it, you're wasting your time. So what would
Yeah.
it be like to explore your darkness as a gift?
It is a power expansion like no other.
Yeah.
Um, for anybody who's listening who's actually friends with me, and even if you're here and you're not, my page is public, go read the posts. But I posted recently about how hard this year has been for me.
Mm,
And the thing is, I haven't run from it at all.
mm-hmm,
Um, I sat in all of it and I sat with all of it. And, you know, things that we are not supposed to feel or say,
mm-hmm.
like, who can I give these kids to?
Yeah. Yeah. Real talk.
um, and, I haven't been suicidal in decades, and
Mm,
I'm not, and I won't be. But my poor therapist needed, like, assurance that I wasn't, because, like, it's just been that kind of, I'm like, this fucking sucks. And if
yeah.
I was suicidal, I would have at it because this is awful.
Yeah.
But the more I sit with it and the more I be in it, the greater ease I get with it, and the more miracles that show up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here looking at, like, I am their only parent because my boys pretty much see their dad as a stranger.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this in the summer, and y'all were like, just send him over there. I was like, it's like sending them to the neighbor's house. Like, they know who he is. They have no relationship with him.
Right.
Um, and, but like, I've had all kinds of people show up and be like, yeah, like, of course you're fried. You're doing this job all by yourself and you're 18 years in. Like, of course you're fried.
Yeah.
Um, and we can contribute in all of these ways.
Yeah.
And if I was in that, like, resistance and fighting of, like, what's happening and what's real and what's actually going on, I wouldn't have been available for any of that because I was so busy fighting what is
And in the process of fighting, you can't receive.
at
That's the
all.
thing. That's the thing that's the craziest thing for me. It's like, you know, when I'm not willing to receive, shit goes bonkers. I have to be willing to. And what I'm saying is that even in the position that I am right now, uh, my brother Tim Logan, when my wife got sick, he called just checking on me, and you know, and I stopped telling people I'm all right.
Mm,
Helpful from you, the conversation you have with you, because I don't have to
you're
be.
welcome. Yeah.
No, I don't have to. Good morning, Brother Ascari, another one of my teachers. Uh, uh, I don't have to be all right with what's going on in my world right now, and it's fine. No one has to wake up. And that the thing you said about suicide, other piece about it is being present with people when somebody tells you that without overreacting.
Yeah, that's part of what's really hard about the darkness is we don't have a lot of allowance for it.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of allowance for our own, so we really can't be a space for other
Right.
people's. I think one of the gifts of, like, me and people being in my world and in my space is that I have a massive amount of allowance for, like, whatever it is that you're experiencing.
Right.
Any judgment that comes from me comes from, like, the top of my brain, but there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
That's just not a choice I would choose.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're wrong at all.
And people, this other thing that I'm gonna say to people: have some grace with yourself. Let go of the wrongness. You're not wrong. I mean, like working with young people here at the juvenile department, one of the things I always immediately work on erasing for them when they walk into this building with me is to erase the wrongness. Because if you're wrongness, you cannot receive more or greater.
Yeah.
And we live in a society, I'm gonna say in the United States at least, that I know of, that we are demonizing people that are different. Demonize them. If you don't want to take the shot, you're wrong. If you're not this religion in this country, you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you're not
Yeah.
this shade, you're wrong. If you're this too tall, you're wrong. If you're too short, you're wrong. Everything in
Yeah.
this motherfucker is built up to be wrong. So what do people fight for? To be right. In the process
Yeah.
of being right, they're fighting against another possibility instead of being able
Yeah.
to receive what is.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, receiving is the greatest gift. But here's the piece of with receiving that people don't look at. You got to have some gratitude. Here come Earth, Wind,
Can
and
we
Fire.
talk about gratitude?
Oh my God. Gratitude is the core to change everything.
So, but John, I don't feel gratitude. What do I do about it?
You just open your eyes and just acknowledge what is for you. The good, the bad, the ugly. And just
Yeah.
acknowledge it. Just
Yeah.
say thank you for this gift. Now,
Mm.
and
I have actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I have a share. And the reason that I wrote that post on my page about how hard this last year has been is because I actually found some gratitude.
mhm,
I wasn't sitting in a space of gratitude, and I that's not true. I historically don't feel gratitude unless it is directly connected to something someone has done for me. Like people talk about like, oh, I woke up this morning, I'm so grateful. Or I hated waking up until I was like 33 or 34. So I never had that experience. But there was a day last week where I was just floating in gratitude.
yeah,
And I really think it came out of that space of being present with what is.
yeah,
And also not like holding on with, tight fists
yeah,
to like how I think things should be and what I think I want and like that sort of thing. But being fully present with the full spectrum of like this life right now.
right, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's gratitude. See, here's the piece about gratitude for me, sister. I realized from some of my practices in the past, my Tai Chi, my Qigong, my meditation, is that I live on a being called Earth, and it's always giving. It's always giving. It's not always giving what I would desire sometimes because I live in a rainy area and I'm like, I'm cool with the rain, but I understand the process and what the need of the rain where I am.
Yeah.
The earth is always contributing. And what happens is I think that sometimes we forget about gratitude of just being because we forget that what you walk on, you feel is concrete on it, everything, and you forget that it's real. That it's
Yeah.
I know Bob Marley talked about concrete jungle. People get caught up because of concrete jungle, but even so here's the piece that I realized. Everything you have on planet Earth comes from Earth. Some stuff might be some space shit, but I ain't gonna get into that right now. That blow people's mind. But real talk, everything plastic comes from the earth.
Mhm.
And people talk, oh, this plastic stuff, it's earth. It's an oil process product. I mean, everything you have, the cars right on the street, the electric, all this stuff comes from this earth. And yet you can't wake up and be connected to it because you have been disconnected. You've been ripped from your mother. And it's the process of not allowing people to think they like when we're on this computer, people think I'm on a computer. Well, all the parts on this computer, this screen and everything comes from this thing called earth. So the gratitude that I have is that
Wow,
acknowledge,
my voice is deep.
huh? What's that?
That was my son. He was like, wow, my voice is deep.
Uh, it's just amazing to me. And then how the other planets contribute to Earth and the sun contribute to Earth. And then feeling the gratitude. And then what I'm saying is that realizing the people that are connected to us and what they're offering us in our being.
Yeah.
And
That
that's where
was
the happiness
an
comes for me.
yeah, that was another contribution to me this year. Like, y'all, I have this mug that says "You are my person," and I bought it for myself. And yesterday, John was like, "You needed a reminder." Yes. Listen, when you talk about mastery of something, I have mastered looking outside of myself for like validation and connection and like everything that's really fully present within me, but I had outsourced literally all of it
Right.
because I was trying to recreate my childhood in like a healthier, happier way. I think we're all trying to do that. Um, and so I was on the phone with like one of those things that I had been, you know, tight fisted trying to create are like certain kinds of friendships, like in person friendships. I have amazing friends around the world, but my local connections are like small, and we're not like super close. Um, and I was on the phone with one of my friends, and I don't remember whether it was Kara or Naomi, but I was on the phone with one of them, and I have this asshole voice in my head. Not really sure whose it is, but I'm on the phone with this friend, and I hear this voice that basically says, like, you're missing it. You are so insistent on like a sisterhood of the traveling pants type friendship that you're missing what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
But that is, like, it's another example of like it's all available to us, and what are you putting your attention on?
Yeah.
Where are you putting your focus?
Yeah. So is the glass half full or half empty is the question I always ask myself. If it's still
What
half,
is in the glass is a
yeah,
better question.
yeah, yeah. I like that. What's in the glass? You might not want to drink it.
You might not want to drink it.
and
I
and
mean, if I were a drinking person, if there's, Moscato in the glass, I don't really want it half empty or half full. But if you put them all back in there.
okay. So here's the piece about that. That brings in this other thing that sometimes you and I talk about being aware of things.
Say more.
Awareness works with the gratitude part of it, and 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 this goes back to what we were talking about nurturing versus rescuing. Awareness helps you look at them differently. It's the simple awareness of that. Like when we're talking about people, so to bring you all to speak, we're talking about our children, I think, and we're talking about rescuing them that compared to nurturing and what that looks like. Oh, hold on. My son is trying to call me. I'll call him back later.
Okay. Um, that was definitely a topic, but for me, it's broad spectrum. Like, I am a healer. I am a peacekeeper. Like, that is my energy. And when it is in its purest, cleanest form, that looks like, John, let me make you a mug of tea. Sit down, let's chat.
Yeah.
Like, let me make you a pot of soup.
Yeah.
Like, but in it, like, when it is imbalanced, it looks like, let me fly over there when I don't have the capacity to do that,
Right.
and do everything for you.
Right.
Like, one is the energy of, I love you, you got this, let me add to it. And one is the energy of, I don't really think you have this, let me handle it for
Yes.
you.
I don't trust you. You can't do this on your own. I know better.
Yeah.
And that is a superior bitch.
Yeah.
I watch it sometimes with
I have
people.
mastery at that.
Yeah, we all have that. Like, because what happens is we think in this reality that people can't make their own minds up and they don't have enough understanding. We think that they're not up, they don't have the capacity. Like one of the things in this job that I do with young people, I think that young people have a great capacity wherever they are, whatever choices they're making. I think they're exploring. I
Yeah.
wish them good health in the process, but I never want to stymie that, because what happens is if you show a man or a woman how to fish, they'll be able to live for eternity. If you have to give them a fish, that's rescuing them.
Yeah.
And so for me, I believe that when you're, especially being parenting, a parenting is the most difficult piece because I want my children to be all right. I don't want them to have any mistakes. That might not be the best thing.
Yeah.
Let them have that experience. See, part of it is that, and as a parent, I looked at things a lot different with my children, and I wasn't the greatest dad. Sometimes I go back to my kids and I say, oh, I sucked at it as a parent. And I think I suck at a lot of things because that's just, I think I could do things a lot better all the time. And
Yeah.
being not kind to myself. I did the best that I could do when I had it, when I was
Yeah.
small. And allowing somebody to have choice is the greatest gift that you can give. Now, the danger zone for a parent with that and trying to rescuing is that you don't want them to make that mistake. What if that mistake, Jay-Z, going back, I listened to Jay-Z on my way into town again, y'all, right? I told you that. Jay-Z was telling a story about doing some stuff, and it sounded like he went to jail. And I was like, interesting, but he's a billionaire now. So
Yeah.
what did he learn along the way? And he's a billionaire that actually gives back to communities.
Yeah. It's really not about uh, the mistakes for me personally,
Uh-huh.
because that is how we learn.
Yeah,
Um, it's about pain. It's always been about pain.
yeah,
And like wanting to either ease someone's pain or wanting to keep them from the pain in the first place.
yeah,
That's been the hardest thing for me to like get.
yeah,
My
yeah.
older son kicked out my younger son's two front teeth when they were little.
Unfactual.
And I was like, this is why we don't WWE.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
trained for this, bros.
yeah. And but still, that's still part of growing up because I this is a fake tooth from because my brother and I got into it and I did it really to myself. I threw the handle down of the wagon. We was in Chicago and it hit the concrete and bounced and cracked my tooth in them. You know, it's just part of it. So a good friend of mine, Gary Douglas, said to somebody once in a meeting, I have 2 minutes, I turn into a pumpkin, y'all. So we're gonna cut this off in a second. Uh, did you die from it? And if you didn't die, now what more can you create?
Oh, this is a delicious future conversation. But like, what part of you did die?
Yeah.
And what resurrections need to happen? That is a future conversation.
Yes.
Um, John,
Yes.
what do you have coming up?
I have well, we canceled the talking to the entities class, but I have a foundation class coming up. We have a plantation to the playground talk coming up on the 11th
Yes.
of
Wins Foundation this coming weekend.
foundation is the 17th to the 20th. This weekend before the Christmas.
Okay.
It's gonna be online and in person. So I'm gonna add the online portion to it, but because you kind of wedging me to like expand beyond my comfort zone. So I'm gonna do both online and in person. So, but it's gonna be lovely
Friends,
watching it. So if people
if
want
you have, even if you have been to a foundation, but if you have this thing about being wrong, I highly recommend you find your way to foundation right after plantation to playground.
yes.
And if you are a mom of a melanated child, I highly recommend that you come to our healing circle tonight. And if you can't find that info somewhere on my social media, then message me and I will give it to you directly. It's free or $15. So
And if you send that to me, I'll put it on my page so people can see it too there.
I got you.
Until next week, y'all, peace and blessings. Love you.
Bye,
Have a wonderful
everybody.
time to yourself. Peace.